Blah, 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 blah. Hey everyone, it's Anna, and I'm back with another vintage cookbook. This time I'm reviewing the Pillsbury Busy Lady Bake Off recipes. This book was published in 1966, and according to the cover, it says 100 prize-winning recipes, shortcutted and up-to-dated by Pillsbury, the idea flour. The words shortcutted and up-to-dated aside, I think this was sort of an ad campaign that Pillsbury was trying out. It's all over this book. It appears back here. The idea flour is sort of all throughout this book. It's not one that I've ever heard of. Flipping through this book and trying to find a recipe, I wanted to find something that was for a busy lady, because who among us is not a busy lady? But honestly, for shortcutted recipes, these were a long haul. Like, these were long recipes. I just wanted to read a little bit of this back cover here. 3 cheers for homemade cake. 3 cheers for fresh baked bread. 3 cheers for Pillsbury's shortcutted, streamlined, up-to-dated recipes. Recipes that make baking from scratch as easy as you can imagine. Recipes from Pillsbury's Busy Lady Bake Off. Now, is the Busy Lady Bake Off an actual, like, separate competition from the regular Pillsbury Bake Off? Be the first one on your block to pamper your husband. Dazzle your family, delight your friends. Bring on a real homemade dessert. Buttery, moist, loaded with flavor. Scratch baking, the Pillsbury shortcutted way, is easier than ever before. Get a sack of Pillsbury. Get a sack of Pillsbury, the idea flour, the idea flour, and help bring big scratch baking today. Okay, I really love the inside cover as well. Very like smug looking lady. I have the secret to shortcutted recipes. I love this. It's like a mother feeding a child, a woman playing golf. I have no idea who this middle lady is. And then a lady getting groceries. So the whole life cycle of a busy lady. Here's the Busy Lady Bake Off. Prize-winning recipes, shortcutted, streamlined, and up-to-dated for you by Pillsbury. They are really diving into this like shortcutted, streamlined, whatever it is. This was a goldmine of interestingly named recipes. This was the grand prize winner, I guess, of that year. Golden Gate snack bread. I'm not sure why it's called Golden Gate, and truthfully, when I was making a note about this, I thought it was Watergate. You know, Golden Gate snack bread is also nice. Another surprising one, I feel like this recipe has popped up in the last few years on Pinterest, maybe TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know. These ice cream muffins. So it's the recipe where you combine self-rising flour and ice cream and then bake it. I didn't know it existed back then. We've got a French boy loaf. This is good stuff, you guys. Something called Cheesa Supreme. And I believe that this is a Cheesa Supreme. I might try it. Am I gonna have to eat this after I move to the big city? City Slicker Casserole. This must be the namesake of this entire book. Busy Lady Beef Bake. So how long does this take to make, actually? So you have to make the stew itself, which takes 35 minutes, and then it looks like you're making like biscuit topping, and that takes 25 minutes. So is it fast enough for a busy lady? Here comes the weekend. Time for Saturday night pie. We're in the dessert section now, where we find pound in the round cake. This is a good one too. Imagination pie. What is in this? And the filling is lemon jello, boiling water, evaporated milk, and a package of Pillsbury 2-layer size Hawaiian pineapple frosting mix. And this is something I wanted to talk about. I was looking for a recipe in this book, and there were a lot of them that I really wanted to try, but once I read through the list of ingredients, I would come across an ingredient that I could not find anymore. I've never seen that type of frosting mix in the store. I'm not sure if it's available anywhere. I think a lot of these recipes have some sort of frosting mix in them, and it's just not that easy to find. I think maybe once like frosting became available in little containers of like pre-made frosting, they stopped selling the mixes quite as much, and they just don't have as much of a variety anymore. There may be a few recipes in here that I do try eventually if I can figure out a good substitute. And that brings me to the recipe I'm going to be preparing today. Today I am going to be making Gold Rush Brunch. A meal in a dish the whole family will eat and love. What? That is such an awkward sentence. This casserole, it looks like it could be for breakfast, brunch, like possibly like a breakfast for dinner kind of situation. This is one of the recipes where I was able to find everything. The only slightly unusual ingredient, and it's not that unusual, it says 1 package Pillsbury hash brown potatoes. The whole 1 package thing, I'm not really sure of the size. So I got the smallest one that I can find. I may use all of it, I may not. This sounds pretty good though. I think I'm ready to get started. Here we are. As usual, I am cutting this recipe in half, but I'm going to list the ingredients in full. To make Gold Rush Brunch, hard to say, you're going to need a package of Pillsbury hash brown potatoes. I couldn't find Pillsbury. I don't know if they make them anymore, but I went with Idaho Spuds. Half a cup of chopped onion. I had some green onion to use up, so that's what I have here. You'll need 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley. A rule of thumb with herbs. I didn't have any fresh parsley, which is what they're talking about here. If you want to convert to dry, divide the amount that they say in the recipe by 4. Instead of 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley, you'd really want 1/2 of a tablespoon of dried parsley. 1/4 cup of butter, 1/2 cup of Pillsbury's Best flour. I have no idea if this is Pillsbury's Best, but I suspect that it will work. A teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 1.5 cups of milk, 1 cup of dairy sour cream, and 1 to 1.5 pounds of Canadian style bacon. And then the recipe says you need 8 eggs. I'm cutting the recipe in half, and I'm even going to reduce the amount of eggs further. It's just me trying this, and I'm not really sure how the eggs are going to reheat. So I'm just gonna do 2 eggs in the whole casserole. The recipe says the first thing to do is to prepare the potatoes according to package directions. It says to like rehydrate them in the microwave, and then you're supposed to like brown them. I think I'm just gonna rehydrate and skip the browning part. They don't look brown in the photo. Oh, that's kind of a lot. Maybe I have more than I need. Empty them into a microwave safe bowl and then add 2 cups of water. And then microwave on high power for 3 minutes. It's like 3 minutes. Why am I so impatient? Very watery. I bet these would be good if you rehydrated them with like chicken broth or beef broth. I'm not really sure about this casserole because it doesn't seem like it has a ton of flavor in it. Stir in onion and parsley. So we've got my green onion here. I think the green onion is gonna give it a little bit of a nice color too. And then I have my dried parsley. Place in well-greased 13 by 9 baking dish. I have a smaller baking dish that I'm using since I'm cutting the recipe in half. Yeah, that sounds about right. Maybe you would need 2 boxes of these potatoes if you were going to make a full recipe. This is looking festive. Come for brunch. Next, I have to go make a white sauce. So this starts off as your typical white sauce, but it does have a bit of a twist at the end. So I put my butter into a saucepan and I'm just letting it melt here. I thought this was very satisfying to watch. And now that it's melted, I'm going to add my flour and whisk that in. If you didn't already know, flour is raw, so you do have to cook out that raw taste if you are going to make a white sauce. So after I've let that cook for a little bit, I add my salt, and then I add a little bit of freshly ground black pepper. I give it another whisk just to incorporate, and now I'm going to add the milk. So I add this just a little bit at a time and whisk well after each addition. You want to make sure by the end of this that you don't have any lumps. So whisk, whisk, add milk, and whisk some more. Keep on whisking. And now here's the twist. Here I'm adding some dairy sour cream. Now, I've never made a white sauce quite like this. It produced a very thick sauce, as you can see. And I guess we'll see how it turns out. We've made our sauce. It's pretty thick. I happen to think that the proportions were a little bit strange in this. I don't think I would have used nearly as much flour as I did with that amount of butter, but we're gonna keep going. Pour over potatoes, lifting potatoes lightly to permit sauce to mix well. So we'll get this on our potatoes. I kind of want cheese to be in this. There is no cheese in this recipe and I was very surprised. Does everything have to have cheese? I guess not, but it doesn't hurt. So let me get this spread out and then I'll start lightly lifting these potatoes. Lift and permeate. Why don't they just say like, mix it together? Arrange bacon in an overlapping row down the center of the dish. Oh, how attractive. Yes, here we go, beautiful. So this is kind of the first step. We have to bake this in the oven for 45 minutes and then we'll take it out and put our eggs on top. Let's pop this in the oven and I'll be back. Here we are after the first bake. I will say it has dried out quite a bit on the top. Remove from oven, make indentations on each side of bacon, slip 1 egg carefully into each indentation. So if I were using the full amount of eggs, it would be like a couple on each side. I'm just gonna do 2, so I'll figure this out. It seems like there's just not enough space in here to do that. It doesn't give a good photo of this really, because it's sort of a side view. So yes, there is a photo, but it doesn't show what it really looks like from the top. What if I made like long indentations? Yeah, there's like no way I'm getting like a round indentation in here that's big enough for an egg. It smells really good. It smells like hash brown casserole. Okay, so I made like some oblong looking wells, and it says to slip an egg carefully into each. You know, I think I'm gonna crack these eggs into a little cup first. I don't want to break the yolks on these. I think I just did. Oh no, intact. Yolk is intact. Let's try this side first. So it's in there, it's just kind of like elongated. Did I break that one? Okay, didn't break this one either. I'm very lucky today. Let's see if we can do just as well on this one. Ooh, okay, that kind of worked. So now I have to pop this back into the oven for 20 minutes until the eggs are set. Well, here it is. I think that the second bake was a little bit too long because the egg that's on the top here, that is definitely like hard cooked, and the other one's sort of on its way. So I would reduce that baking time for sure, for sure. Even before tasting it, I already know that. I can't tell you that this is a busy lady recipe. This was not quick. I haven't tasted it yet, so I probably shouldn't judge just yet, but I have a few ideas of what I would do differently if I made this dish again. It smells amazing, I'll give it that. Like, it does smell really good, but why wouldn't Canadian bacon smell good baking in the oven? So I'm gonna try to get a little bit of everything here. Is that too hot? Ah, it's still really hot. Yep, just don't listen to me ever. Okay, so these potatoes seem a little on the dry side. The first bake was 45 minutes before I even cracked the eggs in, and I think that was too long too. So that's one of the things I would do, is just really cut back on the bake time a little bit. I would also probably use frozen hash browns, but let's taste it. I mean, I'm gonna give it a chance here. I would not say no to this if someone made this for breakfast for me. Yeah, the Canadian bacon may have gotten a little overcooked as well. So I've got that, I have potatoes, I have egg. Here we go. It tastes pretty good. I think the potatoes might be just like a little on the bland side. The Canadian bacon is very salty, so maybe that's kind of what they were thinking when they created this recipe. It needs cheese. I'd probably add just a little bit more seasoning to the potatoes in general, maybe a little bit of like seasoned salt, something like that. It's getting some flavor from the salt and like the onions and everything, but I think it could just use a little bit more. I'm gonna try this without the Canadian bacon and see how flavorful that is. This leans very heavily on the Canadian bacon to get a lot of its flavor. Would try this again with a few changes. I cooked a recipe from the Pillsbury Busy Lady Bake Off recipes. Thank you so much for coming back every week and checking out my new videos. I really, really appreciate it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to my channel. I post this type of content just about every week. Thanks again, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.